Today, we're looking at one of the most sudden and shocking collapses in ancient history. It's the story of how the kingdom of Judah, right after a golden age of reform under its best king, Josiah, just completely and totally falls apart.
And that's really the big question here, isn't it? How does a nation, at what seems to be its absolute peak, just break? Well, the answer is a chain reaction of terrible decisions that all start with one king's final fatal battle.
So, our story kicks off on the world stage. We've got crumbling empires, new powers on the rise, and a high-stakes gamble that goes horribly, horribly wrong for King Josiah.
Okay, so to really get what's happening, you have to understand the geopolitical chaos of the time. The reigning superpower, Assyria, is collapsing. It's creating this huge power vacuum. So Pharaoh Necho of Egypt, he sees a golden opportunity. He marches his army north, not to conquer, but to prop up what's left of Assyria against the brand new threat on the block, Babylon. The entire world order is up for grabs.
And right in the middle of this clash of titans, King Josiah of Judah makes a really baffling and, as it turns out, fatal decision. He takes his army to intercept the Egyptians at a place called Megiddo. Now, why did he do this? The text doesn't exactly say. Maybe he was trying to flex Judah's new independence, or maybe he just tragically misread the whole situation. Whatever the reason, he put his small kingdom right in the path of a giant, and that choice sealed his fate.
The end is just shockingly abrupt. This verse from 2 Kings tells us it was a face-to-face confrontation. No long, drawn-out battle, no clever ambush. Josiah met the Pharaoh, and the Pharaoh killed him. Just like that. The last good king of Judah, the man who led this incredible national revival, is gone.
So a king's death sends these massive shockwaves back home. With Josiah gone, the entire nation is reeling. And in that moment of confusion, the people make a quick decision that just makes everything a whole lot worse.
I mean, can you imagine the scene in Jerusalem? The king's body is brought back from the battlefield. Amidst all the grief and the chaos, the people of the land, they act fast. They anoint Josiah's son, Jehoahaz, as the new king. It's a popular choice, an attempt to keep the royal line going. But it turns out to be a really, really bad move.
3 months. That's it. That's all the time the people's choice gets to sit on the throne. To put that into perspective, his father, Josiah, reigned for 31 years. In the biblical story, a reign this short is a giant red flag. It tells you there's not just political instability, but from the text's point of view, it signals some serious divine disapproval. And the reason for that disapproval becomes crystal clear really fast. The son was the total opposite of the father. Where Josiah led these amazing reforms and turned the nation back to God, Jehoahaz immediately starts to do that which was evil. He's actively undoing his father's entire life's work. The spiritual foundation of the kingdom, it crumbled almost overnight. Now, Pharaoh Necho didn't just win a battle and head home. Not at all. He saw a weak, leaderless kingdom, and he seized the opportunity. He basically transformed Judah from an independent nation into his own personal territory.
This is when Judah becomes what we call a vassal state. And this is their new reality. They're not a sovereign nation anymore. They now answer to Egypt, they pay tribute to Egypt, and their king only gets to be king because the Pharaoh says so.
This chart just lays out the brutal reality of the collapse. I mean, look at this. Judah goes from having its own independent king to having its kings either thrown in prison or handpicked by a foreign power. Their allegiance switches from their own national interests to just serving Egypt. And their economy? Well, it's now being systematically drained to pay for it all.
So, how exactly did Pharaoh Necho make this domination so absolute? Well, he followed a very clear, very methodical strategy to make sure Judah would never be a problem for him again.
It's really a masterclass in political takeover. First, he gets rid of the popular king, Jehoahaz, throws him in prison. Second, he demands a crippling amount of money. Third, he installs Jehoahaz's brother, Eliakim, as his new puppet. And fourth, and this is just a pure power move, he changes the new king's name to Jehoiakim. It's a signal to the entire world that says, I own this king, and I own this kingdom.
And that price was huge. We're talking 100 talents of silver and a talent of gold. That is a staggering amount of money. To pay for it, the new puppet king has to tax his own people. So now, the nation's wealth is being funneled directly into a foreign empire's treasury. The king isn't a protector anymore. He's just a tax collector for an occupying power. So all of these things, the death of a good king, the rise of corrupt homes, and being forced to submit to foreign powers, it all puts Judah on this irreversible path, a one-way road to complete destruction.
Jehoiakim is on the throne for 11 years, but don't mistake that for a time of stability. It's a decade of being trapped. First, he's serving Egypt, but pretty soon, the rising empire of Babylon is going to come in and crush the Egyptians, and Judah will just swap one master for another. They are no longer a player on the world stage. They're just a pawn in someone else's game.
And ultimately, the final verdict on both of Josiah's successors is exactly the same. They did that which was evil. The spiritual decay that started the moment their father died is now complete. It cements the nation's decline and paves the way for its final, devastating judgment at the hands of Babylon. So what's the big takeaway here? In the span of a single generation, Judah goes from reform to ruin. It's just a shocking reminder of how quickly everything can fall apart when leadership fails and a nation loses its way. And it kind of leaves you with this one last, lingering question. Just how fragile is any golden age?